Whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira. Whakarongo pi kari kari mai, hare hare mai. O Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Hei ngā kāwai nui, hei ngā kāwai roa, o ngā maunga whakahi, o ngā wai whakatere taniwha. Huri noa i te waipou namu, i Rakiura. I re kohu whakawhiti i te moano raukawa ki te upoko, te ika. A māo i tiki a Taranga, tai atu ki te hiku o te ika. Anei e mihi atu ana kia kouta katoa. I tēnei punua pāho e whakapāho atu nei i konei i te awa mutu i raro i ngā manaakitanga te wānanga o Aotearoa. So welcome back everybody. Ane anō māua, ko taku hoa nei, ko te puaheiri, ko Snow. E mihi atu nei kia koutou, o tira e māringa nui ana māua i te nohoanga mai o tētahi o nā pū, o nā mōhio, o roto mai o ngā iwi o te hiku o te ika. E kōrero mai ana ki a māua, me ki a tātou katoa i tēnei rā. E te hoa, ngā mihi ki a koe mara.
Tēnā koe praone o tira e mihi ana hau ki a kouroa ko nau. E whakatau nei ia hau. Ki runga i tēnei kaupapa tino rangatira o tira e mihi ana hau ki ngā kaiwhakarongo hoki. Ai, ko Peter Lucas Jones tōku ingoa no te iwi o Ngai Takoto. No reira, koe rā ko taku kaupapa hei kōrerotanga māku. And I'm looking forward to having a kōrero with you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Tēnā rawa atu koe, thank you for being on.
Aye.
I get a bit excited with these iwi that I really don't know much about.
Kia ora, kia ora.
Like us poor ones here, well not poor ones, but ones in Tainui get record, you know, they used to say we're in Tainui, so you're Waikato.
Yep.
It's the same for our northern cousins.
Aye.
You know, you say, oh, well, from up north, oh yeah, ngā puhi.
Aye.
And I know, you know, the connections, the whakapapa connections with ngā puhi. Kei rei rā no ngā iwi, ana i tēnei rā e te iwi nui, tonu e whakarongo mai ana, our koenei te kaupapa.
Kia ora.
Tēnei iwi o te wiki, ko Ngai Takoto. But before we get into iwi o te wiki, kiwaha. No reira e hoa, Peter Lucas, kei a koe, hea tā tātou kiwaha?
Well, our kiwaha today, I only get to talk about one kiwaha, and I wanted to talk about 5. And so I decided what I'd talk about was anō iau and anō kiau. But anō iau ka tīmata tēnei kaupapa a tēnei haora. Engari, I tīmata ke I te hawhi paure, hawhi pahe o tēnei haora. Anō iau. So, you know, basically it's just like I thought something was going to happen. Anō iau hau ka tīmata tēnei, tēnei wāhanga I te kaukaraka I te ata. I thought something was going to happen. And the anō kiau, I hoped something was going to happen. Anō kia hau ka hoki mai a māma a pōpō. I hoped Mum was coming back tomorrow.
Okay, so slight difference with the E key.
The E and the key, eh?
Yeah, big difference actually.
It just changes it up, depending what you want to say.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
They're like, anō iau, I was meant to be at the gym at 7, but I got there a bit later.
Yeah.
And anō ki au, ka tai ki te whare kina a pōpō.
Ka pai te. Pēa tēnā.
Yeah, ka pai. And the other one is like, you know, for example, gee, I thought those were your car keys. Anō kia au, nāwi nā ki.
Kia ora.
Ah, kia ora.
I think it's really just a shortening of the hoi anō, and then you're just really saying the anō.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
You do a bit of that, eh, up north, sort of drop some words off
Drop
at the
some,
beginning or in
yeah.
the end. You fellas have got these Norki things going
Norki,
on, and the Aini. And
Aini.
E te iwi, I'm with 2 northerners here, so, you know, my reo might go a bit that way. Ka hinga pērā pi tēnei episode.
Aye.
But a lot of our relations, Praone, they came from down the line, from Tainui. So sometimes you'll hear people saying, whoatu.
Aye.
Yeah.
Whoatu ki mua, go in the front. Whoatu ngā wahine ki mua. For example, when you're going on to a marae for a pōhiri or something, you know, telling people, the ladies to go in the front. Whoatu. We say whoatu with a WH.
Tēnā koe.
And I'm not sure if we always did that or if that was something we just picked up from our kaumātua, like mutu kapa in them. Of course, they have their own strong connections to Tainui anyway. Perhaps that's where that came from, but it's certainly a feature of our conversational te reo Māori up here.
Ai, kia ora.
Tēnā koe, just a comment on that too, on the whātu. I'm wondering if that's used as a kiwaha when you're saying to someone to go in front of you or to go ahead, ne? So you got whātu and then hoake. You hear it at tangihanga a lot too when they're saying to the departed or loved one, you know, haere whātu. And I've heard it in Te Arawa too, they use the WH
Kia ora.
sometimes and some other iwi. Yes, I'm wondering if it's only when they use whātu in that context, not the whātu to give, whereas us a lot of time down here is whātu all the time, whether it's to go in the front or, you know, to give to. Interesting, ngā hononga reo.
Aye.
Yeah,
I was like,
anō i au, ngā tainui anake tēnā.
aye, that was like me. I thought e hake I te mea was from the Hokianga area.
Yeah.
And then I come down here and they were saying, no, e hake I te mea no Hokianga tēnei kōrero. And I was thinking, oh yeah, perhaps there's it just made its way up there.
Koe nā te atahua o tō tātou reo Māori.
Aye.
I know we want to go out there and want to learn our reo āiwi, pai tērā, but don't be so narrow-minded,
Kia ora.
you know, and don't close yourself off, because you'll find, as you're learning te reo, ka kimi koe, ka kite koe, hey, ana e tai kupu that I thought only Tuhua used or only Ngāti Porou used, and then you find, oh, how? I te kōrero whenei aku kaumātua.
I think it's also about being in use and out of use.
Kia ora.
You know, pēnā kei kona te toko maha e kōrero ana I te reo Māori, ka kite koe kānui te tini o ngā tauira. You think about our grand-aunts and grand-uncles, none of them all talk the same.
Yeah.
They all have their own personality.
Aye, that's true. From one house to the next, eh?
Tēnā koe e hoa. Nō reira, ka tahuri tātou ki tā tātou kaupapa, ko te kōrero mo tō rahi mo Ngai Takoto. And just to remind us, you know, well, for te puaheiri and for us too, we try and use the kiwaha as many times as we can and say sometimes it might be like out of context.
Yeah, or we make one up for our own segue.
Yeah. We set ourselves up to use the kiwaha. Like I'm getting pretty good at knowing when you're setting yourself up for one. Koina, nō reira, tēnā tātou, e mihi ana ki tā tātou kaupapa kōrero. Iwi o te wiki, and te iwi o te wiki is Ngai Takoto.
Ngai Takoto.
Well, Ngai Takoto e hoa is one of the 5 iwi of Te Hiku o Te Ika, e rima ngā iwi o Te Hiku o Te Ika, ko Ngai Takoto, ko rātou ngā uri o tū whakatere.
Kia ora.
Ngai Takoto are the descendants of tū whakatere. And tū whakatere was the tupuna. There's quite a story around how the iwi got its name. Closely related to Ngāti Kuri, Te Aupōuri, Te Rarawa, and Ngāti Kahu. Tū whakatere had 2 wives, and the iwi itself is named after the event that led to his death. So it's about te whakamomoringa a tū whakatere. Our iwi is named after his death, which was a whakamomo. Te whakamomori e kōrero tiana e tātou i nei rā. Not the sort of whakamomori that we talk about today, you know, like now people say whakamomori and the only thing they understand it to be is suicide.
Kia ora.
We think about what Māori words mean. They have many meanings depending on the context in which we use them. So I would like to describe a bit of the context praone, because sometimes people get a little bit sort of like, not shocked, but I guess they're not used to hearing the word whakamomori in those natural Māori contexts.
Ka pai, kia ora.
So tū whakatere, he had a number of sons, and they were warriors. But his youngest son's name was Hoka. And Hoka was a waihape. Do you know what a waihape is?
Kao.
Clubfoot.
Tēnā
Kia
koe.
ora.
And so, you know, pēnā kei tētahi tēnā me te waihape, wheno ko tana hikoe tana māraro he toti. Toti te ahu o te māraro atu me te māraro mai.
Like snow on a Saturday night.
Kia ora. O na Sunday ka tau mai te porahau. No.
Well, the thing is, this fella, he was the pōtiki of Tūwhaka Tere's children.
Tēnā koe.
He was the love of his father. You know what I mean? That was the pōtiki. That was Tūwhaka Tere's baby. Anyway, Hoka wanted to go to battle with his tuakana. And he was a young man who wanted to prove himself. His father pleaded with him not to go. Don't go, kaua e haere. Ano kia aia, e kore rawa tana pōtiki e huri tuara ki ngā kupu whakahau a te pāpā. Te mea rawa ake, he takes off with his older brothers to go to this battle. To cut a long story short, Hoka died in battle. And when Tūwhaka Tere got the news that his pōtiki had died, he got the whakamomori. And so in this sense, whakamomori means grief. It means a broken heart. It means a very severe sadness. That human experience that he was going through led to him laying down, takoto, and dying of a broken heart.
Wow.
To I huaina ngā uri o tērā kaumātua ki te karangatanga Ngai Takoto.
Tēnā koe.
Kia ora.
That's how the Ngai Takoto people got their name.
Tēnā koe.
And the rohe of Ngai Takoto, which has been controversial in more recent times, considering Te Hiku o Te Ika also has another name in the Office of Treaty Settlements, and they call it Vietnam. The reason that they call it Vietnam is because we are so closely related to one another that our 5 iwi experience a lot of cross-claims. But if you were to take a little bit of a deeper look at our whakapapa, you'll see that you can't be from one iwi without at least coming from 3 or 4 of the others.
Oh, that must make Hokianga Palestine and Israel then.
And that's because we all got a grandmother and a grandfather, you know, and halo. They all different parts of the rohe. So there are 4 marae in Ngai Takoto. Kai Maumau. Kai Maumau is named in reference to an event where a kaumātua only had one child, a huatahi. And this huatahi died. So him and his wife consumed the tūpāpaku of the huatahi so that they could pass on the mauri to their next child. And so they had another child. And that event led to the naming of the place Kaimomo. And so Kaimomo is the most northern of the Ngai Takoto marae, which is on the northern arm of the Rangaunu harbour, Te Wahapu o Te Rangaunu. If you come further around the harbour, going towards the west, you have Paparore. We always called it Paparore, but te ingoa tika ko te pā o Parore. And Parore was a kaumātua that came from Ngāti Whātua. The pā itself is named in reference to the arrival and establishment of his army, I guess. I would explain it to be an army and their presence in that area. And so that kāinga is called te pā o Parore. And then you come around again towards the south of the Rangaunu Harbour, and that's our moana, the Rangaunu Harbour, and you got Waimanoni. Waimanoni just means where the seawater meets the fresh water.
Oh, kia ora.
Waimanoni.
Yeah, Waimanoni. And then we have Mahimaru, which is where I come from.
Kia ora.
And Mahimaru, we got that name because that whole area is prolific kumara growing area. So mohi ana koe ki tēnā me te kumara.
Aye.
Well, I know how to eat it. Don't know about growing it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's not for the faint-hearted, that sort of jazz, eh?
Aye,
Yeah.
aye.
It's not for snow.
Nah.
And we used to have a running joke around our marae, and it was like, they wouldn't even know how to grow a kumara. And that was our own kiwaha.
Kia ora.
And it was an English kiwaha, but it really referred to the intellect or the intelligence of somebody. They couldn't even grow a kumara.
Aye.
And it was actually quite a derogatory statement. Because kumara is such a intrinsic part of our culture as Ngai Takoto people. And so mahimaru praone, that's how we got our name, from growing kumara in the hot sun and having to build a shelter out of the mai tree.
Kia
And
ora.
so we named our marae Maimaru in reference to that event. Summertime is a bloody hot time up there, and our whare is called Te Whakamomoringa in reference to the event that led to the naming of the iwi.
Tu whakatere, aye.
And then our whare kai is called Te Haapaio, and that's just a name that's in reference to the expression of manakitanga to our manuhiri. And, e mea ana te kōrero ko te amorangi ki mua, ko te hāpai o ki muri. And so that's the name of our whare kai.
Kia ora. With that part of the te heku o te ika, there are a lot of known waka. Is there a particular waka that pertains to Ngai Takoto?
Kia ora.
Well, our waka is kura haupo.
Kia ora.
We come from many waka, but that's our main one.
Tēnā koe.
Yeah, so we say ko kura haupo te waka, ko pōhurihanga te tangata, ko Ngai Takoto te iwi, ko tohoraha te maunga, and tohoraha is our mountain. It's in the Hauhora Harbour.
Kia ora.
Those marae that I just named, those 4 marae, are where our people ended up when they became landless. And when the government had been able to pretty much cease a lot of seasonal nohonga and activities by virtue of the fact that that land was now being used by the settlers. So our maunga is actually a place called Tohoraha, and my dad's mum was one of the last people that were born on that mountain in 1893.
Wow.
And they were moved off there. We grew up listening to her tell us about how they used to grow strawberries there. And they used to row over on waka to sell their strawberries to the settlers. And I'm not sure exactly how they ended up in Awanui, other than the maunga became the property of settler families. But that is our maunga, Tohoraha te maunga, named by the wife of Kupe. Then the next thing, my friend, is our moana, is Rangaunu, and our pepeha is he itipioke no Rangaunu he autona.
He autona, kia ora.
And that just means, small as the dog shark may be, it has a wake.
Ka pai.
We're a small iwi. We don't have a lot of people that identify as being Ngai Takoto, and saying that we do have a lot of people that are Ngai Takoto by virtue of the blood that flows through their veins. But they predominantly will refer to themselves as Te Aupori or Te Rarawa, because the Aupori tupuna, his mother was a Ngai Takoto.
Oh, kia ora.
Yeah, so there's a relationship there as well. And More Te Korohunga is the name at tupuna, but his mother was a lady by the name of Te Awa. Yeah, and she was a Ngai Takoto. But I mean, the whakapapa is so intricate, as you know, Praone.
Yes.
It's really like, you know, where you are on the day.
And it's good you've brought up More Te Korehunga, because I know that name, that tupuna is a descendant of Reitu. A tahua ngā kōrero e hoa. I was wondering to myself, just as you were speaking about Ngai Takoto and ngā kōrero e pāna ki tō rahi, because it was actually Shane, ko te haerenga tuatahi tēnei o Kingi Tuheitia ki roto o te oera iwi ona, I roto I a koutou. And we went on to Te Kao, and Shane spoke, and ko nā kōrero katoa e hāngai ana ki a Ngai Takoto.
Kia ora.
And I remember sitting there thinking, you know, and kaua e pāma mai, but I was thinking, wow, ko wai a Ngai Takoto.
yeah.
You know? And yeah, a tāhua nā kōrero sa voice sort of had that thing there that I wanted to know a bit more about Ngai Takoto, and even te pepeha mo te pioke. We done an episode just recently on kupu whakarite, and I wanted to ask you, do you use pioke as a kupu whakarite when referring to somebody?
We do nowadays.
Yes.
I can't say that I ever heard our old people do that, though.
Yeah.
But we would refer to those things and their behaviour.
Yeah.
So I think, you know what a pioke looks like. It's a dog shark. It's just a little shark. I think what I could gather from them was it was more about, it's not so much what you do, but it's the impact that you make on those around you, and that you don't have to be a giant to make an impact on the lives of those around you. And so when I think about that pepeha, I must mention that it also has another part of it, which is he iti marangai e tuana te pā huka huka.
Kia ora.
So it doesn't take much of a storm to stir up some pā huka huka, you know, on the water, and then ka pai ki uta. Again, I think the concept is the same. You don't have to be a huge giant to make an impact on those around you. You just have to have focus and be quite pragmatic around what you want to achieve. I've always enjoyed the lessons in those pepeha. And there's another one that I should mention, and that is kaua e rite ki ngā koheru o ngā kuraiti. So ngā kuraiti is one of our fishing grounds in Ngai Takoto, and the koheru is another sort of fish.
Geez, I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah.
Talk about pioke, koheru.
And kumara.
Yeah.
Koheru is another sort of fish. Engari he ngohi porangi. It's a stupid fish.
Yes. Oh, snow na.
On a sad day. On a sad day.
Ngohi porangi. Oh, love it. Hoia no e ho haere tonu.
It's a ngohi porangi because what it does is when the tide is going out, it swims close to shore, and they swim in little schools, and they all go round and round in circles, and ko tō rātou nei mate, ko te hirawe. Ka whakahe manawa rātou I a rātou anō, amutu te mea rawa ke ka peke ki uta. So what they do is they go round and round in circles, getting so nervous, causing themselves anxiety, and then they want to jump, and they jump out onto the hot sand because they want action, and they kill themselves.
And they couldn't even plant the kumara.
So they always say, kaua e tino horo ki te peke. Don't be too fast to jump. Kia
ora.
Yeah.
Look at the example of the koheru and what the koheru does, which is, you know, it bakes itself.
Really made fish and chips.
Yeah.
It was really Māori Marsden, our uncle, that sort of brought about some awareness of our small tribe.
And he was Ngai Takoto.
Yeah, he was a Ngai Takoto. And they also came from Mahimaru, where I come from. We lived in one paddock and they live in another paddock.
Tēnā koe.
And his grandfather signed the Treaty of Waitangi, but so did one of the other grandfathers as well. He was instrumental in raising the awareness of our people, because for a long time, I ko natu ngia e nei iwi pēnei I Ngai Takoto ki roto I te iwi o te aupauri. Ka mutu ko Ngāti Kuri anō hoki tētahi o ngā karangatanga I ko natu ngia ki roto I te aupauri. I tērā wā, I karangahia e rātou ko te aupauri nui tonu. Ko te aupauri nui tonu. Engari, ka hore au e mātou mehe mea i whakanuia e nā karangatanga ki te kupu iwi, ki mahara i kōrero hia e nā karangatanga hei hapu. Because one other thing we do is like whenever there's an event or a birthday praone, and Snow, you know this, we have the cutting of the cake.
Aye.
And you call out all the different hapu. And we always call out the 5 iwi now. But for some time, we were part of the larger Te Aupōuri contingent. And since the Ohu Kai Moana Act and all the business around quota and MIOs or mandated iwi authority and things like that, we became our own mandated organisations, and with that came iwi status.
Kia ora. And so you get a piece of the cake, me ki.
Well, we weren't getting one before.
Yeah.
Better the kōheru cake.
Get a kōheru cake.
I don't know who was getting the cake. Yeah, but the idea was we would get a slice anyway.
Do you mind sharing with us, for some of our listeners, I mean to kia tātai tokotoru e kōrero rero nei ka rongo i te ingoa Māori Marsden e nei ka hina wanawa taku kiri. I te rongo hangake, me ki te rongo i tana ingoa. And I remember reading, I think it was Te Ahu Karamu who wrote the foreword.
The Woven Universe.
Yeah, the Woven Universe. And he talks about our karaua, Henare Tūwhāngai, and Māori Marsden. And he used to pick, one time he picked Māori up, I think he was a Nōtaki, and took him to see the koroheke. A lot of the whānau refer to Henare Tūwhāngai, the koroheke. Picked up Māori Marsden to see Henare, koro Henare, and he thought, oh wow, I'm going to get in on all the kōrero from the tohunga, Iana tuhinga. It was like he could see their lips moving, but he didn't know what they were saying.
Oh, wow.
And he describes watching them through a window, and he couldn't actually understand what they were saying because they were speaking about things that were in another universe and way, you know, above his sort of wana mōhiotanga.
Aye.
Hei, pai kia kōrero koe mo tērā o tātou tohunga rangatira pū mōhio, me taku mōhio koe a pē te whakamutunga o tērā whare wānanga o koutou.
Ai, tikana koe. Ko eia anō te mea whakamutunga I ruku atu ki roto I te hohonutanga. Nāna anō I ruku atu ki roto I te hohonutanga o tēnā me te ao Māori. Ka mutu I hohonu ia I roto I ngā kura wānanga o te ao kohatu.
Kia ora.
He was the last, certainly from what is acknowledged in our area.
Kia ora.
But Uncle Māori, his father, was a man by the name of Hone Mātenga or John Marsden. And Hone Mātenga, his first wife was my grandmother's tuahine, and her name was Roira Kaka. And then Roira Kaka had one son who was Toko Mātenga, and then Toko Mātenga ended up marrying our dad's second cousin. And then that line is our Aunt Esther, who just died earlier this year at age 91.
Karoa.
I te matenga o Roira Kaka, I moe ia ki tētahi o te whānau toi, no huia, no o māpere I te tonga o Hokianga. And then he had another family, and Hana Toi married Hone Mātenga. And then that's the second family. And Uncle Māori, I think, was the second youngest in that second family. But he was chosen by the old people. And when I talk about the old people, I mean the old people. Like my own grandmother was born in 1893. And she talked about them. She called them the old people.
Our old people's old people.
You know, they really were the old people. I don't really know a lot about it, Praone, other than he was schooled in the ways of karakia, and he then became an Anglican minister. And so they were very much Christian in custom. So the Ngai Takoto people were Christians in custom, in that like every morning we have karakia and every night we would have karakia. But we always had to recite things. Like even in our own home, we would have to recite our whakapapa. We would have to recite what is your whakaheke. And then you had to be able to do the whakaheke of your close relations. For example, I just explained those two families, you know what I mean? And Uncle Māori would get us to do that. And he would correct us if we got it a little bit mixed up. Because it's not for everybody, you know what I mean? We all had to know at least the basics. And so he really encouraged us to know those sorts of things. To tell you the truth, we just knew him as our uncle. And he kaha nōna ki te kōrero Māori kia mātou. Ka mutu koiara, i ai e whakahaere ana i te karakia, koiara ko tana reo, ko te reo Māori. Tuatahi ka timata ki tētahi karakia hei whakapuare i te noho, ka haere ki tētahi himene. Nā, ka himene te katoa. Ka muti te himene, ka tūmai tētahi ki te kauhau.
Kia ora.
Rei te kauhau noi honei, engari ka tukua e ngā kaumātua ētahi pātai. Ētahi pātai ki te kauhau. Mā te kai kauhau e nā kōrero e taki. Ka muti ka wānanga mo tētahi wā, harei te wā roa. Ka muti tērā whiti ngā kōrero, ka hoki mai ki tētahi karakia, ka himene anō, ka mutu ki tētahi atu karakia whakamutu. And that was how it went. That's how he always did it when we were little. And his mother-in-law, or his wife, was Auntie Jane Marsden. And Auntie Jane was a Brown from Waimanoni, which is just the marae over. But those are the same Browns as Kiritokia Brown.
Kia ora.
And we had our minister, our other minister was Henry Brown, or Henare Praone. It's the same family as Kiritokia Praone, which is Whatu Moana comes from that kuia. So that's another connection. But we don't have any rātana churches in Ngai Takoto, only Hahi Mihingari.
Kia ora.
And the reason for that is our people did not allow rātana to enter our rohe.
Oh, ne.
Yeah. And they believed that he was not allowed to come into the rohe. So he did come from Ahipara with his cohort, and he got to Awanui, and the chief of the time was a man by the name of Hupatakaka. And Hupatakaka stopped him at the Awanui River and said to him, "You will not cross."
Tana Gandalf.
Aye.
Kamutu I mea tu ia, haere mā te oneroa tōhe, haere mā te arawairua. Kia o ti ia koe te haere atu, ki ngā iwi o te kao, me ngā iwi o te hāpua. Engari, e kore au e tuku ia koe ki te haere mai ki roto I te rohe o Ngai Takoto. That's my summary. Basically, he did not want any of our people turning to the Hahi Rātana. So that is why there are no Rātana churches in Ngai Takoto itself.
Tēnā koe hoa. Pea tahua ngā kōrero. Just to go back a little bit and touch on your experience with learning whakapapa and that pedagogy, I guess, of being sat down, and perhaps the whakapapa may have been shared. I'm thinking of my learning. A lot of whakapapa I learned when I was little was shared through stories. You didn't actually know you were learning until a bit later on. I didn't actually get that instruction of actually being, sat down and then being asked to recite. I love the kōrero about knowing koe tō whānau.
Yeah, pai.
Because a lot of people these days who are starting out or they're learning and they get hungry.
Yeah.
Kei te kōrero muetahi o tōku whānau ake, o tōku hapu. And they say, I want to learn whakapapa. Oh, yeah. So they go, okay. So they might want to start from Hoturoa, the captain of Tainui. And then I'll say, what's your great-great-grandfather's name? Or, how are you related to that cousin?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, what you shared with us about how the kaumātua took you in the whānau, taku mōhio I pērā I te whare wānanga.
Ai.
Whare wānanga o mua, you didn't go back to te kore.
No.
You'd start with your, tō whakapaparanga I te tuatai. Me mātua mōhio koe ki o huanga, ki o karanga maha,
Ai.
I te tuatai o whanaunga. Then you'd branch out and upwards, not
Aye.
start from there and then come down. You go that way.
I think also too, it was a time where you would see, like how you said, Peter, that it's not for everyone, and you would see everyone would learn the basics, and you would see the other ones that could branch off, and they would go, oh yeah, we'll start you on this other branch and all that. But yeah, tika tēnā ngā kōrero.
Yeah, a lot of people got sent back to the garden, and they got really good at that.
Yeah.
And Timothy shares a story, when he was much younger, now he's 81, when he was younger and he got told by his kaumātua, kaua māu te whakapapa. E hara I a koe e rā pūmanawa ki te ako, ki te pupuru, I e rā taonga. So whakapapa's not for you. The thing is, these days, we're all trying to do our best to fill these holes.
Yeah.
Big gaping holes that we're trying to make ourselves into super Māori whalas or whalaesas.
Yeah.
You gotta know te whai kōrero mō tētea.
A lot of people wouldn't know how to catch a fish, praone.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know how to shell a bloody tuatua.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for spending some time in the wharekai.
Kia ora.
Or spending some time in the garden. And so we used to get sent into the gardens. Like we had a small community, but we all came together. And when I think back, we were quite lucky to have that, praone. But I think it had a little bit to do with my dad's mother and her sisters, because they were so old. Like, they didn't seem old to us, but now I realize they were actually really old people. But they kept themselves so active, so physically active. They really were able to keep themselves fit and healthy. And so I just hope that I'm like that when I'm 98 or 99, being able to move and shake and still get around the marae. Like, I have to say the marae was the center of their life.
Aye.
So like when you go to church, church was church and marae was marae, and there was a clear line. For example, they weren't allowed guitars, no guitars at church. There was a no guitar rule because when we were kids, I haere mai ngā paki.
Aye.
Ka hore ngā kaumātua I pai, ki riro I te hāhi paki, ngā mema o te hāhi o te iwi. So they made rules. There was no, and he kauhau te kauhau, he mihi te mihi, he whai kōrero te whai kōrero. Kaua e miki rapu ngā mea e toru. If you're at church, do a kauhau. Not a mihi, do a kauhau. Waiho te mihi mo te marae, because you do mihi after church. So all those little things, I mean, like, they were good lessons to learn as kids so that you don't have to learn them as an adult.
Kia ora, tēnā rawa atu koe.
We got lots of growlings though, praone, lots of growling.
But that's what's missing, having the kuia that I remember growing up. We say, it takes a village to bring up a child.
Aye.
We say that, but we don't practice it. Mokopuna katoa. Nā era tamariki, nā te kuiara. But, a lot of parents these days, ka kowhetengia nā tamariki, ka pukuriri ngā mātua.
Yeah.
And those were, and I look back on those growlings, they were all learnings.
Yeah, totally. Like one of my jobs was rubbing our grandmother's feet. I had one foot, so Uncle Maori's baby, Michael Marsden, him and me grew up like brothers, and so he rubs one foot and I rub the other foot, you know what I mean? And the queers, they're all in their 90s and they keep us occupied by telling us stories, and then like they give us lollies. I guess it was a little bit of a question and answer session because they had very active minds as well, but they just weren't, whilst they were fit, they weren't young people. And you know what? We lived all in the same house. I'm talking 4 generations, and if you got to sleep in the bed with mama, that was like, you'd made it. It was almost like a status thing, you you had made it to the big bed.
It's the way that we live today, like you said. Very nuclear, our whānau, and I think it is because, well, there was a time and age where we could live in a community and be sustainable, which is the word we loosely use this day and age, but it was actually quite the embodiment. Now you have to find whai mau ki wāhi kē, ne? You know, I like to think of our waka who came to New Zealand, to Aotearoa, and it was there they were finding the beginning, and then our kaumātua kuia, they moved to the big cities and the urban migration, and the new migration now is to Australia or wherever they can find it. So you can see how it has affected the way that we'd like to live or the way we used to live.
Ano I au he kōheru koe, kare whakaro ki o kupu, engari kau. Āta whakaro koe mua te peke.
Ai.
Oh, yeah. Ngohi pōrangi.
That's a little bit of kōrero about te iwi o Ngai Takoto, the descendants of Tu Whakatere. Some of the more well-known people from the tribe as well was Taki Marsden, Taki. Oh, my nephew, Stacey Jones. I mean, he does his, he was very much active in the rugby league scene, as you know.
Gee.
We had a number of people that were movers and shakers, but from a very small iwi in comparison when you think about numbers. But it's important to think about that pepeha. And I always say to my relations, don't forget that pepeha. He iti pioke no rangaunu.
Kia ora.
That means quicksand. That's the Māori word for quicksand up here. Rangaunu.
Rangaunu, kia ora. I find it very interesting that you connect with kura haupo. But a lot of people would mistaken that Ngai Takoto may come from the waka of the north.
Well, kura haupo is the waka of the north.
Wow, ano ki au ko mā tātou ngā tuki matawharo kei, hoi no?
Engari, I umai tērā waka, te waka o te kura haupo, ki takapaukura.
Takapaukura.
Takapaukura tētahi o ngā wāhi taha mai te rerenga wairua. Kei kona a kapo wairua, taha mai tērā wāhi ko tētahi one e karangatia ana ko takapaukura. Kei kona tētahi awa, I tētahi pito tērā one, ko te ingo tērā awa ko waitangi.
Waitangi, kia ora.
Engari, I waho ke o tērā one kei kona tētahi kohatu. E karangahia ana tērā kohatu ki te ingoa kura haupo.
Kia ora.
Ana.
That's the kura haupo rock. I te hoenga mai o te kura haupo ki Aotearoa I tū ki Rangitahua. Mohe ana koe ka ia Rangitahua, Kermadec Islands.
Kermadec. Oh.
Kia ora.
I pākarukaru ngia tētahi wāhanga o te waka, he mea āta whakatika ngia e rātou ki te kaharoa. It's a type of kūpenga.
Kia ora.
Kamutu I āta whakatika ngia tērā, ka ahu atu I te mautere o Rangitahua, ka haere tika ki takapaukura. Ko reira anō te wāhi I tūtaki ngā iwi o te kura haupo ki ngā iwi o muri whenua. Wheno he patu paiare he rātou ki taku nei mōhio, ko te wahine I moe kia pōhurihanga ko Maeke.
Maeke.
Maeke was from those people that were here before the arrival of the kura haupo. And their descendants became known as Ngāti Kaha. And Ngāti Kaha were named in reference to the kaharoa that was used to hold the kura haupo waka together as it travelled from the Kermadec Islands to Muri Whenua.
Tēnā koe.
And the descendants of Ngāti Kaha were Ngāti Kuri and Ngai Takoto.
Kia ora.
Yeah.
So there you have the relationship between those two iwi, Ngāti Kuri and Ngai Takoto, and the waka kura haupo. But it's also the waka of Te Aupōuri, but of course the main waka of Te Aupōuri is Māmari.
Māmari, ai.
And that arrived in the Hokianga, but through their grandmother, Te Awa, the Te Aupōuri people have a line that's direct to Ngai Takoto.
Wow.
So it's all very close and intricate, but kura haupo, very much our waka.
Aye. And do you have an ongoing relationship with the kura haupo in the Taranaki area?
Well, funny enough, there are some similarities, I think, in the way that we talk about the waka. But in more recent times, I have seen younger people visiting and going to have a look at the Kura Haupo rock.
I want to visit that rock.
I think they like to go up there and have a look at, you know, where the Kura Haupo arrived first in Aotearoa. I love that sort of stuff. I love place names. I love looking at heaha te take, heaha I huaina tia tērā wāhi ki tērā ingoa. And so, like, I've always enjoyed that sort of stuff e hoa.
Me tahi, he pērā noa ko te whakapapa o ngā ingoa. Me rā, e hoa paikatoki au e rā kōrero. Aha koa kōai te iwi.
Aye.
Aha koa kōai te iwi. Nā mohi o tāua tātou, marama ke tātou I etahi atu ka whaiti o rātou whakaaro anei tātou e kōrero mo te whakapapa. Nā, moha nau ke tai aku tātai I roto o kura haupo. Nō reirei, nāia nei, ka haere anau I roto I a koutou a tōna wā, ka hoki whēra atu.
Aye.
Ka mauru ake taku ngākau I taku mohio. Anei ngā uri o tērā waka oku o kura haupo.
Well, ki te haere mai koe, haere mai ki taku whare.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be doing any kumara, you know.
We'll have pioke, not
We'll go for a trip up north, and it would be an honour to visit those places with you both.
Kia ora.
Tēnā rā atu koe e tai, e mihi ana ki a koe, kua hau I a koe ngā kura o te pō, I roto I a tātou kōrero rero, nō reira e te iti pioke, nō roto mai o ranga unu, ka nui te au, e rere nei, I runga I ngā iarangi o te ipurangi, ki roto o Aotearoa nei, o tira puta no I te ao, e whakarongo mai ana ngā iwi, ko nā mihi whakamānawa ki a koe, e te hoa I whai wāhi mai koe ki te kōrero. Kia māua o tira ki ngā taringa, kia Ngai Taringa, e whakarongo ana kia Ngai Takoto.
Ka mihi kia kaurua, ka harika ko te ngākau, ki te kōrero mo tēnei kaupapa, nā te mea, e hara I te mea he nui he nui te hunga e mātau ana ki te hohonutanga o te iwi o Ngai Takoto.
Kia ora.
I takea mai I te whakamomoringa o te tūpuna e mōhiotia nei ko tūwhakatere. Nā reira, kia mahara tātou, ka nui te tini o ngā whakamāramatanga o tērā kupu whakamomori.
Kia ora.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā kaurua.
O e hoa, anō ki au ka kōrero tātou mo te roanga o te rā.
Ai, tika tā, I te mea, I te pērā rawa, te rewa o tāua ngākau I ngā kōrero.
Ai.
So, rawe te wairu o ngā kōrero, rangati rā nā tā tātou kaupapa I te nohoanga mai o Peter Lucas.
Ai.
Me mihi nui tonu ki aia.
Ai, tēnā anō koe, Peter.
Yeah, and I learned heaps.
Yeah.
I've come away though from kōrero going, there was some other part I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Hey, but, you know, kia koutou e te hunga whakarongo our listeners, as we've said, you know, we provide a bit of a timo, e haere ana I te kahu o te wai, just on the surface of the water. Although I must say, sometimes we do a bit of a ruku.
Ai.
You know?
I wanted him to touch more on Māori Marsden as well. But
Yeah. But I think our pioke swam deep enough.
Ai.
So, ka mihi ki aia o tira, ki ana krani mama, ki ana krani papa.
Ai.
Nā rātau I whakatupu. And that was the other thing that I got out of that, was him sharing his upbringing and the intergenerational transmission of knowledge. Yeah. He rawe, tō ngā kōrero. Yeah, we touched on quite a lot on there. You know, we had Marakai, Kai Māori, and you would have heard, we talked about the pepeha.
Even the understanding that people are mistaken that it's all ngāpuhi up there. There's actually so many iwi up there. And the interconnectedness they all have. And,
yeah. And I think it was done in a nice way because the interconnectedness you talked about, I feel that when I do go up there, I te taitoke rau, I te hiku o te ika, I te kōtiu, there's that mana motuhake of each iwi, but because the whakapapa ties are so close, and you know they share common ancestors across the many iwi of, well in this case te hiku o te ika, there's cross-claiming of tupuna and, you know, places. So, I think that was encapsulated in the wairua of the kōrero today, Ngai Takoto. Yeah.
And their very own right too, to have their own mana motuhake. I spoke about this with a colleague during our morning break, how, man, some of my whanaunga, they'll negate and they'll butt heads with their whanaunga in the marae when there's something going on, and when they stand up and they lay their claim, that same whanaunga will stand up and go, ai, e tautoko ana ngā kōrero a taku whanaunga. So there was, it's the beauty of it. It's like, at war and at peace with them at the same time. It's really...
Ai, koena hoki. And that's why he tino Māori te rāhuatanga i runga i te marae. And i roto rāna i te whare, that we can have those differences of opinions or whakaro, and engari te mutunga iho he whanaunga tonu tātou. Yeah, nō reira, e mihi katoa ana ki aia. O tira, kia koutou tonu e te iwi nui tonu e whakarongo mai ana. Into our waiata o te wiki, and hei taunaki i ngā kōrero ko tā tātou waiata.
Ko tōna pepeha.
Ko tōna pepeha.
Ko tōna pepeha, he pepeha e whakahua ana i ngā tūtohu whenua o Ngai Takoto. So this was written and composed by Raiha Praone of Waimanoni. And it speaks of the Ngai Takoto people and the landscape. Nō reira, whakarongo mai. Ko mātou tēnei ko Ngai Takoto, e pohi nei, tahi te miri, haere mai a. Ko tuaka tere, te tupuna, wai manoni, te marae, haere mai a. Tōna pepea tenei, huia te rito, o te harakeke. Hei aha te komako e ko. Maue, ki mai ki ahau, he aha te mea pai. Maku e ki atu kia koe, he tangata e. Tiro ki te rangi, ani waiwa, Whakarongo ki te tai, oranga unu. E tangi mai nei, e karanga ana, e ngā iwi, haere mai a. Tōna pepea tenei, huia te rito, o te harakeke. Hei aha te komako e ko. Maue, ki mai ki ahau, he aha te mea pai. Maku e ki atu kia koe, he tangata e. He tangata
Nō reire te iwi, that was our waiata to tautoko our kōrero iwi o te wiki Ngai Takoto, ko tōna pepeha. We're just going to do a bit of a plug. Plug!
Oh, there's a plug.
We're going to do a bit of a, for our up-and-coming episode of Taringa, the anniversary of Taringa, with the heliacal rising of Matariki next week. And actually, Matariki's on the rise, but as you will remember, if you've listened to our first episode and you've done a bit of rangahau on Matariki, that traditionally the night of Tangaroa, ngā pō Tangaroa, was the time to observe Matariki. And to celebrate this, we're lucky to have back next week Dr. Rangi Mā Tāmua. And we're even more lucky, more fortunate to have one of our whanaunga from across te moana nui a Kiwa, his friend, our friend, his colleague, another learned gentleman from the University of Hawaii, Kanaka Māori, Tangata Māori, Noroto mai Hawaii, Dr. Kaliko Baker.
Kia ora.
Who will also be on the show next week, Taringa. It's a special instalment, so we're not sitting under a particular kaupapa. Matariki will be the kaupapa whānui, and we may even have another special guest next week, but I'll leave that one as a surprise. And we'll be videoing that episode of Taringa next week, so...
And I might wear my shoes, for those ones who noticed I wasn't wearing shoes. Zero, you
He's
know.
not going to be a ngohi rori next week. Ngohi pōrangi. So, yeah, nau mai, hoki mai, ki te whakarongo ki te punua pāho nei o Taringa, tērā wiki. Looking forward to that one, e hoa.
Ai.
Oia no, anei nā kupu atu i a māua kia koutou. Tēnā rā watu koutou katoa i o koutou Taringa. I konei, i kona, me ki huri noa, tēnā koutou katoa.
Ki o, whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing at the hook of force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds. Kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira whakarongo pi kari mai. Hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Taringa, brought to you by Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe. Taringa, whakarongo mai.